Welcome to the Farmers Branch Chamber Chat. Our mission here at the Farmers Branch Chamber of Commerce is connecting people, opportunities, and resources to create a more prosperous community. And one of our objectives is to be the voice of business to government, especially with the upcoming legislative session. Today, we have Jerry with National Write Your Congressman. He is a legislative researcher here to show how you can be, first of all, informed, and second of all, advocate for your needs. Welcome to the show, Jerry. How are you today?
Thank you, Grace. I'm honored to be here, and thank you for this opportunity.
Great. So why don't you go ahead and give us a little background about National Write Your Congressman?
Sure. Well, National Write Your Congressman was actually established in 1958, over 60 years ago, right over in Richardson, Texas. In this part of the neck of the woods, we call it spit distance compared to the rest of the country. And so they've been established working this type of process since then. And it was actually created by, at the time, he was the national president for the National Chamber of Commerce. And he saw the disconnect, and one of the people that helped him, loosely used co-founder, was Ronald Reagan himself. And many people remember back when Ronald Reagan would actually give a speech, he would pound the podium, and he didn't say, "I need you to call your congressman." He said, "I need you to write your congressman." Now, those of us in business understand there used to be a day where a handshake was good enough and a verbal contract was good enough. But this day and age, you better get things in writing. And that's why we encourage people to use a letter writing process. Now, although we're using emails, they're just as effective because they're approved to be used in the court of law. And so it's something that's very official. And it's just leveraging technology for almost real-time access to your elected representatives. Now, what we do is not just at the national level, but also at the state level. And you mentioned the legislative sessions getting ready to start in January. Well, unbeknownst to many people, they're actually down there right now making the sausage. And so many of our constituents are engaged in certain things. And if you'd like to know some of the things here in a few minutes, I'll have to pull up my action alerts to see what they're working on down there. So what we do is three things that you're accomplished when you become a constituent member with us. One, we have no agenda when it comes to telling people what to think or how to vote. And we show no partiality to either party, political candidate, or a party. Our whole role, our whole agenda is very simple. That's to maintain our freedom and liberty and maintain this conduit where we can see what's really going on behind the scenes. So remember, you can't listen to what they're saying. You just really want to know what they're doing. So you have to ask yourself this first question. If you're going to weigh in on an issue, how important is it for you to have the facts, and where do you get them? So that's what we provide. First and foremost are just the facts, unadulterated, uncolored, unbiased, just true facts, what they actually put in writing in the legislation. It allows you to look at it, and if it's something you want to weigh in directly, if you're one of their constituents, you can directly contact them right there from either your smartphone or your computer. You can literally dictate a letter in through your smartphone, and it'll actually go to a specific inbox in their offices. Now, Jane Nelson, who happens to be my state senator, told me personally that she reads each and every piece of correspondence from her constituents through our system. And she said there's several reasons why she does that. Now, one, she says she knows they're well informed. They don't have their facts twisted. She also knows they're very sober-minded and intentional why they're reaching out. But more importantly, she said it helps her bolster her argument when she goes down to deal with those people in Austin that don't think like we do up here in North Texas. And so you may agree with her or your senator or representative 100% of the time. That's wonderful. But it really helps them do their job. Michael Burgess, who happens to be my national representative of the U.S. House of Representatives, he told me the very same things. So it helps them do their job. Not that we need to help them do their job, but it really just adds that layer of support. So if somebody wants to call them out, they can actually pull up the emails. So if you make a phone call, some people think that's effective. Honestly, you're hash mark. You're just a check mark on a chalkboard. But when you put your name to something and you paint them in the corner where they actually have to respond back to you, now you have something substantial. So the first thing we do is give you the facts. Then we give you action alerts. Right before they're ready to take a vote, we send our constituent members an action alert. And in that alert, it just is an abbreviated format. We're built for the busy person, first of all. So you don't have to be an attorney, and you don't have to go through layers and layers and layers of the legislation. We just break it down in layman's terms. But we also show you how it's argued for and against by both parties. That way you can determine, based off of what you read, how the legislation is actually written, what your position is. And then just with some simple talking points. You don't have to be a wordsmith. We provide the language. You just click on which sentence works best for you, or you can add your own. There's areas you can add your own. But the most important part of that is the very bottom sentence that we include that says, as a constituent of yours, I would like to know your thoughts on this issue. Now that's really just a polite way of reminding them, hey, you work for us and I expect you to answer this. If you don't put that in there, they won't even have to acknowledge you so many times. So I hear from the senators, they actually like to put it in hard letter form in their response. But the representatives typically are pretty quick turnaround. So that's what we do there. But here's the best part of what we provide. You know, many politicians have a tendency to talk one way to get elected, but they vote something entirely different. So let me ask you, whose responsibility, Grace, is it to hold them accountable to their votes?
I believe they're elected for the people, by the people, and so we should have that opportunity.
So it's we, the people, that should hold them accountable. Well, how does the average person know how they vote on a lot of those issues?
I don't think anybody actually knows or pays attention.
Exactly. Well, what we do is the very day they vote and they have a closure on the vote, we publish that, and then we send out an email to all of our constituents that just merely says, hey, take a peek at how they voted. You can go right back in and see who sponsored the legislation, how all the votes curtailed and weighed out. You can go into a deep dive if you care to see everything about it. And the best part is we encourage you to vote along with them. So it'll keep a tally over time. So you'll know whether or not you have the right person representing you. Another benefit is you can literally go back to the day they took office and see how they have voted on each and every item, or you can break it apart by topic, whether it be abortion, taxes, infrastructure, whatever thing it is that you're concerned with. So it's not so much a lot of people really enjoy the process of writing, although it is our privilege and responsibility as good, responsible Americans to hold them accountable. But a lot of times, a lot of people just use it so they know. It helps them know what's really going on. And so you don't have to be a political activist to be a responsible, patriotic American. You just need to know where to get those facts. Now, there's places out there to go, but what's your time worth? And we just make it super, super easy at your fingertips.
And I'm going to hit pause on you, Jerry, because
Yes,
I think I do want to highlight a few things. Jerry and I have had several phone calls. He's walked me through the website. So we have it pulled up here, and we're going to share it with our viewers in just a moment. But I do want to emphasize that, again, there is the facts, right? There's so much out there in media and so much being pushed. And what we'll show when we kind of go through a quick website tutorial is these are facts without being like you're reading the whole 130-page article bill. They keep it very succinct, very simple. It is very user-friendly. And, it really is a great tool. And again, I think that in my experience interacting with the business community, people care about politics and legislation, but this still seems probably complicated and complex, and it really doesn't have to be. So we're going to go ahead and jump to the website.
Great.
We'll add this up to the screen here.
Perfect.
So this is National Write Your Congressman, and as our buddy Alex already put it up in there, NYWC.
No, NWYC.
NWYC. It's easy to get those transposed. .com. All right.
Now that's the homepage, and
this
it's actually the most comprehensive when it comes to the legislative issues, and it's super easy to use. And remember, although it says U.S. and Congress, we also cover the state legislative process as well. So it's real simple how we work. But if you scroll down a little bit, I just do want to point out, it's real simple. If you in the audience want to participate along, just go in, open up your browser, and just hit NWYC.com. You'll be on that very same page. And as you scroll down a little bit, Grace, there should be a spot that should already import in your reps. Oh, you see it spinning right there?
Yep.
In the blue where it's asking for your address, just put in your voting zip code. You don't have to put in your whole address.
So we'll put in Farmers Branch.
And ta-da, there's your reps.
Boom.
Okay?
And I'm going to chime in. So
Yes.
might be jumping ahead of
No,
you,
that's
but
right.
again, I just want to reiterate for our listeners, this is super cool. What you can do is you can build a letter that emails all 5 of these people in one email.
Correct.
You now have a voice and access to your higher level of elected officials.
No, but you only have to type it one time, but it'll actually separately address to each party there. So it's a very efficient method because, once again, we're built for the busy person and your time is valuable. Well, once again, your voice has power. Don't think it doesn't. The only way we lose is if we just roll over and not hold them accountable. This is honestly the most effective and efficient way I have found to hold our elected officials accountable. And I honestly came out of retirement to represent this company because I saw what was going on, and I'm concerned about my grandchildren's future. You know, all three of my sons are Air Force officers. 2 went to the academy. I'm very proud of what they've accomplished. My daughters, we raised 6 children. They're all very productive citizens, and they're very effective in what they do. But it's those grandbabies that I'm concerned with. So as you scroll down, I just want to point out there, Grace, you'll see a square picture of Sam Johnson. Now, this is very important. Now, he's a representative out of Texas. And put your cursor over him. He actually said on the congressional floor, and that's part of the Library of Congress, it's there in the permanent record, the National Write Your Congressman is an essential and unique organization because we're not a lobbying group. Now, listen to me closely. We are not a lobbying group. What we really are is a watchdog / research firm. Okay? And so that way.
Watchdog and researchers.
Right. So you do not need to really belong to any lobbying organizations when you can lobby on your own behalf. Okay, but what you're leveraging is our 60-year reputation, which is impeccable. As a matter of fact, our president right now of our company is prepared to be in Washington, D.C. over the next week, talking to the newly elected representatives in their orientation session. We're the only company that gets to do this, that we actually go in and teach them what their obligations and duties are.
So can we go to a sample letter?
Yeah, let's do that. So scroll to the bottom. Go to the very bottom there.
I'm going to be honest with you guys. My nerd might come out here. But first of all, this is just so crucial for this time in history that you have a voice. And what's great is this really is so easy, and I cannot express enough. So let's pick one that's related to business.
Okay, but I'm going to show you a little shortcut here. So
okay.
We can be effective. So everybody pay attention. Go to the footer section, very bottom. I'm taking you into the little back door here. See the little symbol next to our name there on the left? Click on that. So once again, with all the bias in the media, if you're going to weigh in, how important is it for you to have the facts and where do you get it? This is our first step. This is where we help. So see where it says R&P report. Go ahead and put your zip in. That's fine. I'm waiting. Scroll down just a little bit. That first box on the left says R&P report. Okay? That stands for review and preview. So here's how we work. Every Monday, and only when they're in session, both at the state and national level, we simply send you a one-page review.
One page
of what they talked about last week, and then a preview of what they plan on working on this week. That way, if it's an issue that you want to weigh in on, you have some information, or it's a great concern to you, then you're able to just click on Take Action. So see where it says Learn More, click on Learn More. I hope that everybody's keeping up. If you need me to slow down, I can. Now,
well, and what's great is we'll put up his email and share his
Sure.
information. He can take you through a private demo and tutorial later.
Sure.
So we're just going to do a quick one for you guys. But
so right this page, now this site right now is designed as a tutorial page, a demonstration page. But what we put here, these are still active issues. Now, these are the top 8 issues that they continue to regurgitate and argue and never come to a consensus on. Now, there's social issues, there's tax issues. So feel free on any of these issues, click on which one stands out to you individually that is the most important to you. Let's just say you're king or queen for the day, and you get one silver bullet. Pick an issue. And
well, I don't know if this will be the one silver bullet.
Yeah.
But we'll do something that's
you can do them all. I just want to show you the process, okay?
Small business.
Let's do this one because of what you choose there.
Minimum wage.
Minimum wage, that's a big issue. So, and I'm going to play dumb here. Why did you choose that one, Grace?
Well, I feel like, minimum wage is very important and relevant to our business community,
Right.
especially the small business owner. Their payroll dollars only go so far.
Okay.
And respectfully, not every entry level position needs to be paid of $15 or $20 an hour minimum wage, because then that means, your high school students who don't need to earn, a living wage to pay all their bills. It's just going to offset, the opportunities for young inexperienced people to really get hired or potentially promote offshoring or other things or just raise the cost of goods and services, which is
that's a very good argument.
Self-defeating process.
And that's why it's such a big issue. So you articulated that very well. So scroll down. But once again, as you see, we just broke it down in layman's terms. Then they'll show you the argument in favor and against. So that way, you have to be real careful when you're reading some of this because for some reason, lawmakers have a tendency to twist words. Yes might mean no, and no might mean maybe. So it does help to take a quick peek at it.
Things are often written really interesting. There'll be double negatives, and you're
Sure.
like, wait, what did I just
That's why
read?
it helps to preview it. But here's the good news. You really can't make a mistake with this because you can always fix it. You're in control. Scroll down to the talking points. You'll see them on the right side pop up here in a second.
So write your elected officials. This is
Right.
how you compose a message.
So anytime, regardless of what the piece of legislation is that you're looking at, if you're for it, you would click the top box on the right. If you're against it, you think it's negative, you click the second one and see how it drops in the message bar.
Boom. I think or I do not think.
Yes, exactly. Now, if it's going to impact your business more than anything, you also want to click on, additionally, that third sentence. And
As
then
a
you'll add
business
a brief,
owner.
yeah, and then put your cursor behind there and add a brief comment why you feel that way. Now, you can be as lengthy as you care to be, but brevity is always best.
And for anybody who can't read this, maybe you're on a mobile device, it's a little bit small. Again, these are just auto-populating with I think or I do not think Congress should pass HR 582. That will raise the minimum wage to $15 an hour. And then the second sentence he mentioned is, as a business owner, this legislation will affect me in the following ways. And that's where he's saying, go ahead and add your own commentary of the way that that impacts you as a business owner.
Many times people just put down, this is just the right thing to do, or it's long overdue, or this is the stupidest thing I've ever come across. Whatever your position is. I personally am here to help empower you so you can have your voice heard. That's my role. So you're not going to hear me take a position. I have a position, but I don't share it. It's not my professional role. Okay? Now, the most important one, once again, if you have a lot of information, there's an I also think tab there. You can add another sentence if you care to. But that, once again, the most important one that says, as a constituent of yours, I'd like to know your thoughts on this issue. Now, a few other little trigger words in here that'll help you. If you're a person that has a lot of influence, or you're a business owner that has quite a few employees, what you're going to want to do is mention that me and my 50 employees, so to speak, feel pretty much the same way. Or my circle of influence of other business owners, that number's this many. So you want to flex your muscles a little bit. There's some trigger words also. It also helps to say, not only do I vote, but I contribute as well and know others that do the same. Now that's a power phrase.
Ooh.
You don't have to tell them how you vote. You don't have to tell them how much you contribute. But those are trigger words that makes them sit up in their seat. Okay? So use it to your advantage. Okay? Get their attention. That's what you want to do. Okay? Ted Cruz told me to my face, and I was close enough to smell the wintergreen lifesaver he was sucking on. He said, Jerry, I want you to know when your constituents weigh in and identify themselves as a business owner in these northern counties that you're working in, and Farmers Ranch is in one of those counties. He says, I count those opinions as being as business owners, 10,000 opinions, not just one. So if somebody that works for the post office or Walmart sends in a letter, that's one opinion. But when you're a business owner, you have leverage and influence greater than you understand. So that's really what I want you to really take away from here is the power of your opinion and voice. It just needs to be based in facts. Okay, that's my number one goal is to help you have those facts. Now, let's go to the bottom a little bit further down. You're going to start putting in your personal information. Feel free to do this, Grace. We're not going to send this one, I'm sure, because of how you did it, but we're going to walk through it. As you start pre-filling, a lot of times it'll if it has your information in your computer, depending on your operating system, it should drop in. But you typically, once you're a member, only have to do that one time. So if you get an action alert, as soon as you hit the take action button on the email, it drops you right into the system. So you're automatically there. So hit preview message. Just make sure your zip code is your voting zip code. And the state does say TX for Texas. So once again, it's prepared. Now this one only prepared 3 letters because this has already been voted on in the House, but the Senate hasn't taken it up. But as you can see, there's a separate letter addressed to each one. And then when you're ready to hit send all, you would hit send all, and they actually send you a copy back into your email as well. Isn't that beautiful?
It really is.
Okay, so that's one process of it. Now let's go to the fun part. Hit that demo right there at the top in that header. Okay. Now there to the right where it says e-voter. Once again, I mentioned how they have a tendency to talk one way but vote something different. So here's what an e-voter looks like. Click on learn more. So once again, you'll see how it's laid out, who voted, the percentage, and all of that. And as you scroll down, you'll say, vote along with us. And if you want to do a deep dive, you can. Okay. But once again, it keeps a tally over time. So that's an important aspect of that. It literally takes maybe 10 minutes a week to be the smartest person in the county when it comes to the issues.
10 minutes a week to be the smartest person in the county.
Yeah. So when you hear somebody that has their facts twisted, you can just go right to the platform. Now, this is really just scratching the surface. If you want to look up legislation by topic, or if you know the bill number or the any of the information that you're looking for, even by topic, they have in our library, from a national standpoint, roughly 73,000 pieces of legislation you can look at. And then at the state level, we have almost 37,000.
Did you guys hear that? 70,000 pieces of legislation. Yeah. What again, this is taking these huge things that I think a lot of people feel overwhelmed or don't really feel like they have the power or the time or energy to research, understand, and actually make an impact and a difference. I cannot emphasize enough what this organization has done to streamline that information and that process to make it easy for the average person to, the average business owner to have a voice and to be able to say, hey, you don't get to say whether or not I'm essential or this and that, and to just communicate on any of these things, whether it's the current stuff or the bigger picture, federal things that are going on, like the minimum wage, to the local stuff. This is really streamlining it, making it simple to have a voice.
Yeah, Grace, I'm asked very frequently, how effective is this really? Do they really read these? Do they really respond? I could pull out stacks of letters I've gotten from my senators and congressmen. The funnest one was I was actually sitting at a stoplight over in Plano, and I'd been at that stoplight before. I knew I was going to be there 3 long minutes, and I realized there was an issue I wanted to weigh in on. So I literally dictated it into my phone at 2:30 in the afternoon. By 4:30 that afternoon, and I had some very specific language in what I said. By 4:30 that afternoon, in my inboxes, I had a response on his letterhead from Mike Burgess, his response on that issue. 2.5 hours. Now, I don't know if it was one of his lead staff people, but he doesn't throw his letterhead around nilly-willy. And when it's signed in blue, it's the real deal. Okay, but I'm going to show you where strength in numbers really comes into play. So not only do we watch legislation, we actually monitor regulation as well. So hit that demo button one more time for me, Grace. I want to show you something the media will never share with you, and a lot of politicians don't want you to know this either. Just go to the very bottom.
We want all the secrets, right?
Yeah. So scroll down to the very bottom there.
Very bottom.
On the left. And you'll see there in blue where at that bottom sentence says EPA abuse of power.
Ooh.
This is just one example where our constituents really had an impact, okay? Hopefully everybody's keeping up with me. Now, I'm just going to give you the 2-minute overview of this Reader's Digest version. But basically what happened a few years back on July the 2nd, which was 2 days before the July 4th holiday, happened to be a Friday. Nothing suspicious there, right? Well, the EPA tried to pass a new regulation. And what it said is they could come into your business, your farm, or your ranch, merely accuse you of a violation, then assess a penalty. And if you didn't pay that penalty within the allotted time frame, they would just take the money directly out of your bank account or garnish your wages without due process. Essentially, you were guilty if they said you were guilty. Now, most of us know that's not constitutional. Okay, it would have eventually been challenged in court. But let me share with you what happened. Fortunately, there's a law that says there has to be a 30-day public comment period. Scroll down a little bit there, Grace. You'll see a little graph. It rocked along for 2 weeks. And the only thing they have to do to abide by the law is publish it in what's called the Federal Register. Now, I don't get a copy of it. Most people don't even know it exists. But that's how they get away with it. They hide it in that. So our research department, it took about 2 weeks to get all the facts together. And then we sent out a nationwide regulation alert. Looks just like the action alert. It went viral. And within 24 hours of us sending that regulation alert out, they had so inundated the EPA with adverse comments that they had to abandon the rule. But the best part is they had to publish it right there on their own website. You can see with verbiage, it says, due to adverse comments, we're going to abandon this rule. Now, how powerful is that?
Incredibly.
Yeah, so that shows you strength in numbers. But let me ask you, what do you think would happen, though, had those people not been given that information or had the ability to communicate?
This would have just flown under the radar and money would be taken out of people's bank
Now,
accounts.
eventually it'd have been challenged in court. You know, it's not going to stand up. But how many small businesses, farms, or ranches would have been impacted?
Who knows?
Exactly.
Dozens, hundreds.
So I look at it this way, and I use some old colloquial sayings here since I was born in Texas. You know, if you get the sock back, it won't be fit to wear. Most likely it won't be your sock. So just don't give up the sock, right? So that's what we have to do, is use the Constitution as our shield, all right? And we attack with our words in letter form. That's our sword. That's how we defeat the people that want to take away our freedom. So Grace, honestly, think about it. Whether it's your faith, your family, your finances, or your fundamental freedoms, they've all been under attack. So let me ask you, what are you doing from a proactive standpoint right now on a regular basis to protect those?
Besides posting on social media.
And I guarantee you, your senator's not sitting around watching your postings. Okay? So I can just share with you that this is the power given to us in the Constitution, we the people, to hold them accountable. And I haven't found a better way to do it yet. Okay? Now, on that same, if you'll hit that demo button, those of you that are watching, if you care to,
I'm gonna hit pause just first moment while that reloads. We've got several comments just ticking in about, Courtney's mentioned that she definitely wants to utilize this herself. Susan Hamilton, one of our members with Offbeat Business Media, we all know she's an advocate for small business and legislation.
Hi, Susan.
She has emphasized, this is so important. And Alex Segal is also one of our board members with 5 Star Ford and Chevrolet. He, is obviously watching this. Love this. This is powerful. So for those who are our members out there or future members, we are planning as a chamber to implement this system to help streamline the communication, to be the voice of business to government. So for what that's worth, we are planning to utilize this system ourselves in order to be better advocates for our business community at large. So continue, Jerry. Where am I going now?
So go to the bottom of where you were before. Just
Okay.
don't click on anything. So those of you that would like to, there's several videos there, several that are super powerful. 2 are by congressmen. They're interviews with congressmen, with our president. And they're about a minute long. They're worthy of watching. But the most powerful one there is the comments by Philip Adams. Now that gentleman's out of Richardson. He's one of these engineer guys that if you told him fire's hot and water's wet, he's like, that's all right, I'll check myself. He doesn't believe anybody. He does his own research. But his comments are so powerful. I always refer people to that because that's that type of guy that, he chooses his words carefully and he says what he means and means what he says. And
That's
he's one of
awesome.
our most strong proponents of this system. So it helps to have the knowledge. So there's the old saying, knowledge is power, but it's really the application of knowledge that's powerful. But the most powerful, get this, you feel free to write it down and use it again. The most powerful is the correct application of the correct knowledge.
The correct application of the correct knowledge. I like that.
Yeah. So what's your time worth? What's your freedom worth? Pretty simple question.
And these are some great short videos. I've watched, I think, 2, 3 of them myself during the demo or conversations. And so it really is great to see the testimonials of people who use the system. And I have, one of their pamphlets here. And I also write another coin phrase that I like is, your mission is to encourage responsible Americans to use their influence in government to preserve the freedoms set forth by our founding fathers. And so, I know that we have quite a powerhouse of a business community of people who do want to be responsible and, again, help move the economy forward in the right ways. So
real quick, I'm going to just pull up my action alert from the state level of what's going on. So, and I don't know if my camera will pick it up, but I'm happy to read it to you. So, all
right, I'm going to take us off screen share so that.
Okay. So here's an app on the phone. So you can go to the App Store. It's a free download. You just have to have a password to have the full functionality. And then what you'll see, there's the top issues first, but under these action alerts, you're going to see top 10 federal and state. So if you want to know what's going on at the state level right now, they're looking at crafting language for junk food government mandate, state religious exemption for coronavirus vaccine. Now brace yourself, business owners. State level universal basic income. They're going to be voting on that in the first week or 2 of session. Raising state and city taxes in response to COVID-19. I wouldn't think I'd ever see this in Texas, defund the police. They're actually gonna have that discussion. Paid alert, COVID-19 business liability, that's gonna prevent businesses from being sued if someone wants to claim they caught COVID there. You'll like this, I spent a lot of time and energy on this one. Eliminating the tampon tax. I'm not trying to be crude, but essentially what that is they want to identify all feminine hygiene, just like groceries here in Texas, which they're not taxed. Okay, fair enough. But what about the men's contraceptions? I mean, where do we finally draw the line? Is this really an important issue? Just curious.
We'll just leave that one out there
Yeah.
for the listeners to.
Good news is,
think
this is
on.
what I'm telling a lot of my constituents. Start writing the state legislators right now and demand changes and oversight and protections and transparency with our own voting system. There's no reason this day and age we can't use smartphone technology with thumbprint recognition or retina scan or a combination of both with a PIN number on a voter ID card. And when you push it in the machine, there's enough of those old ATMs out there that they can modify the software. You put your voter ID card in, you stick your thumb there, and it matches what's on the digital data on the card. And it would say, hey, welcome, Grace. Thank you for showing up to vote today. Here's your ballot. Cha-ching. That's the simplest way. It's already out there. They could do that. So start demanding it as the public. Texas expanding Medicaid. And then, of course, decriminalizing cannabis is on there. So they're actually working on this right now as we speak down in Austin because they have a short session, and they plan on hitting the ground running. So just know that's going on, and you need to be weighing in now, not after they've already passed it. Okay. So
And what's important, further on just the decriminalization of cannabis, right? Whether that's your opinion or not, regardless, but we definitely believe that as a business community, the laws and what is written into that gives employers rights and allows them to hold employees' feet to the fire, just like you're not supposed to drink on the job.
Right.
What restrictions of cannabis do you want to have that's related to your workplace? Those kinds of things are very important for the business community to get to speak into how that legislation is written as it pertains specifically to employees and employers.
Sure. Yeah, many years ago, it was nothing more than a moral issue. But now it's an economic issue. Majority of the larger companies do some form of testing to make sure the person they're hiring is not addicted to drugs, And so that might be another thing we the people start demanding is that our elected officials pass those very same type of tests. I'm just curious how many of them could pass it up in DC. Drop that bomb, okay? But anyway, once again, I'm about personal accountability and personal responsibility. Okay, I'm going to do my part to lift this into the board. I need some other people to lift their end because together we can accomplish some great things. We really can. This is where the common sense solutions come from, is we the people down here that are living it. They don't get that up there. So the simplest of ideas can be the biggest solution for so many people. So I'm using this as a format to unify people, regardless of their political belief system. I honestly have some extreme liberals and some extreme conservatives, and they couldn't tell you which way I lean. So, because I'm about empowering them, I just want them to have the facts and the truth. Any questions, Grace?
Not currently from our listeners. We're willing to keep this going a few more minutes. If anybody has questions, go ahead and drop them in the comments. Obviously, I just put Jerry's email up right here. He can give you
my phone number as well if they want to text me or call me.
All right, we'll pop that up. And so if you want a private one-on-one tutorial demo through this process, he's happy to walk you through it. Or you can kind of just follow some of the steps, the clicks that we made online so that you can go through the demo yourself. The demo is totally open to the public, right. Easy to use. And again, you can actually build and send a sample email for yourself.
Yeah. So, and I make myself available for Zoom calls on Mondays and Fridays are about the best days. But I also make myself available for large events, large groups. I've spoken to Second Amendment groups, churches, any civic group that needs a speaker. I'm available. I love to come and meet people and I come with truth and hope. That's all I come with. Okay. I'm not a singer anymore, and I'm not a musician anymore. I've chosen this money.
I can tell that you're not a comedian. Just kidding.
Exactly. Thank you. My wife would appreciate that. Put me in my place. So, but anyway, no, really, I want what's best for this country.
And I just popped his cell phone number in the comments. I've mentioned the email in the comments. Obviously, that's on the screen as well. I think that's pretty awesome. He's willing to give out his personal cell phone number.
Sure.
I think, right, we all kind of can tell that the political and what's going to happen legislatively is incredibly important for us, both as individuals, for our businesses, and also, I mean, for what's going to happen for the next just several years, decades. And this is going to be part of the legacy of what we come out with the other side of this pandemic that will be left for our children and grandchildren. So it's more than about you. This is about, generations. This is about the community. This is about so much more than just, one thing.
Yeah, Ronald Reagan said it himself. We're just one generation away from losing these freedoms. If we do not protect them and guard them, we're going to be sitting in our old age in the rocking chair trying to explain to our grandchildren the way it used to be, how great it was, and we need to be able to explain why we let it slip through our fingers. Because there's no place else to go. We're the last bastion of the republic-type freedom that we have here. So it's up to us to safeguard that.
All right, I'm going to pop the screen up real quick. We just have a comment here from William. He said he's missing the demo link. So William, or for anybody else who's out there wants to kind of take yourself through the website a bit. So you'll go to NWYC.com, so National Write Your Congressman.
Just go to the very bottom, to the footer.
To the very bottom. Hopefully I'm not scrolling so fast to make you sick, but if so, just cover your eyes for a second.
That capital symbol, click on it.
Their logo symbol all the way down here in the bottom left corner. If you click on the symbol itself, it brings you to the demo version.
Yeah, and that's the power page is what I call it.
Power page.
Yeah. So there's more information on there. I just kind of hit the highlight reel. I barely scratched the surface. I've given you roughly 10% of what we bring to the table. And so regardless how to use them, once again, you do not have to be a political activist to have an impact. And this is the most appropriate way of doing it. I mean, if you care to march in the streets and set trash cans on fire, that will get you television coverage, but it's not going to move positive legislation forward. If anything, it'll actually create some negative legislation. And so this is the appropriate way to do it. Put it in writing. And once again, we all know that a lot of people talk a good game, but when it comes to putting their name to something, put some skin in the game, there's a little difference there. And I'm fine with that. Pick one, but let's not pretend. Okay, what's at stake here? We're on a thin measure here. Now, I will tell you, I had a personal conversation with Sidney Powell 2 weeks before the election. And honestly, they were prepared. They did not panic. Matter of fact, they would have been more surprised had they not tried to cheat as much. And so the evidence is there. And this may be the most elaborate trap we've ever seen because he promised to try to clean the swamp. And, it's kind of like you turn the light on in the room full of cockroaches, they scatter. So they're going to get one chance to drain this swamp with a big net. So maybe that's what's going on. I'm not 100% certain, but I lean more that way. So I'm confident. This is one thing I know about Sydney. She doesn't ask a question that she doesn't already know the answer to. Right? And being a smart Texas gal, she also doesn't pick a fight she can't win. So you need to, if you're concerned about who she is, what she stands for, look at her track record as far as when she was a prosecutor. Secondarily, know this, she's one of the few people, attorneys in America that has the authority to go into a military tribunal and prosecute a case.
Wow.
That's powerful.
Yeah.
So I have a lot of faith in a higher power, by the way, but, I think this is honestly can be turned into something good. It takes a light to be shown on the truth, and the truth will set us free. That's what I empower you with.
Awesome. And I feel like, this is just with this conversation, get in contact with Jerry, right? Proximity is power. Having, the correct resources, the correct information, like he says, using it the correct way is power. And so if you appreciated this conversation today, please share it with your Facebook feed. Please make others aware that this tool is available for them to hear their voice heard. And let's band together as a business community, as the community of Farmers Branch, and the surrounding North Dallas area. And let's truly, as his website, it says, we stand for freedom. Let's stand for freedom. Let's fight for the Constitution and fight for our businesses to stay open and for economic recovery.
And although we were formed in Richardson, we're a nationwide organization. Okay, there are 300 other representatives like me across the country. So I'm not the only guy, but I'm very passionate about what I do, and I'm very transparent. So you're going to get what I call the raw, ugly truth from me, because that, to me, I was raised by a drill sergeant. So, just tell me once, tell me the facts, and I can move on. So, you don't have to sugarcoat anything with me, and I won't sugarcoat anything with you. I just don't confuse my enthusiasm for anything more than just enthusiasm. Okay, I'm very passionate about this, but I'm here to benefit you at your service.
And Courtney, I'm pop up her comment. She just said, thank you for the education and resources.
Thank you.
And again, I feel like there's a big rally behind get out there and vote, get out there and get your voice heard. But, voting only happens so often. This is something you can use on a daily, a weekly basis, put in your schedule for just 1 hour a week.
Right.
And you can, send some letters on behalf of the things that you think are important. Or if you want to go through everything and send letters on everything, because it is all important. But, you get to pick and choose your buffet. But this really, it's simple, it's easy. And this is an opportunity for you to have a voice more than just on election day.
So my role with the company is also to recruit members. So the easiest way to get enrolled as a member is just contact me. It takes me merely 3 minutes at the most. Plug you into the system. I'll stay on the line with you while the email comes with your link to create your own password, and you're hot. And I can tutor you through as much as you want, but most of the time you just start playing around with it. It's so easy to use. So reach out to me. I'm here for you once again. But that's how we enroll, because we're not just looking for numbers of people. We want people to use this. So I would be remiss if all I did is have a handshake with somebody, talk a good talk, got them enrolled, and left them hanging. I want you using this. This is about your involvement. So the money's very simple. It's $290 a year for the first seat in your membership. If you choose to add other members, you want to gift a parent, a friend, a relative, an office partner, a business partner, something like that, we give some economy of scale. So the additional membership per seat is $205. So it's very simple. 2 people is $495, 3 people $700. So it works out to about, with 3 people more, $20 a month per person is how it works out. So once again, that money just pays for our research. We're in the information age, and information has an expiration date, and it's only valuable to you if it's factual, timely, and relevant. If it's not, it has no value. So we don't apologize for having to charge money. We do it that way because that way we never prostitute our values from the truth. If we took money from a Soros type or anybody, regardless of who they are, we have to bow to their opinion and bow to their direction. We're committed to our members, so that's why we're 100% supported by our members. But remember this, as a business owner, it is a legitimate business expense. Therefore, it's 100% tax deductible. If you're part of a lobbying organization, only half of that is. Okay, so we're not a lobby group, once again. So 100% is tax deductible. At whatever level you do, whatever you choose to do, I will honor. And we keep things confidential, by the way. That's why we have password protection and all that. So if you care to prove and tell people you're a member, I have pins and stickers for your windows. But if you want to be anonymous, I have a pretty large constituency base that uses this merely for research and to know the facts. But they don't broadcast it because to them it's bad for business. And so they just keep their opinion privately to themselves, but they like to have this at their fingertips.
Awesome. Well, thank you for your time today, Jerry. I really appreciate it. Obviously, it seems like our listeners were staying engaged, had a lot of comments, so thank you all. Again, if you have questions, please reach out to Jerry directly. His email and phone number have been posted in the chat. You've seen his email up here. You can go and do the demo on the website yourself. We just strongly encourage you to have a voice, be a responsible American. Thank you for those of you who've done your duty of voting, but now, the responsibility continues into this next legislative session. So
every now and then we got to prove who's really in charge. So, everybody wants to be a lion until it's time to do some lion stuff, right? Well, us lions need to step up.
Awesome. All right.
Thank you so much, Grace.
Thank you, Jerry. Thank you for all those who have joined us. If you would like to be featured on an upcoming chamber chat, please feel free to reach out to me directly. You can also visit us on our Facebook and our website, farmersbranchchamber.org. We hope you have a great day.